Here we go. Here we go. Ladies and gentlemen, listen, April 24th, Team No Sleep. We are live. And I'm James Hicks, that guy over there. That's Montel Allen. What it do, man? How you living?
Man, blessed as usual, man. Cannot complain at all.
There it is. There it is. Listen, we over here on our dedicated channel, new channel. We have gotten to the point where the people that be have told us to move Team No Sleep onto its own property. So we listen. We listen. And that's what we have done. So appreciate everybody for jumping in. Appreciate everybody for chiming in. We live everywhere because we got another special guest on, a family member of the show. I'm not going.
Yep.
I'm not going to do the introductions. I'm gonna let you do the introductions because you down there in the same neck of the woods of this man. Talk to the folks about who we got coming.
Oh man, I can't say enough about this guy. Definitely started to become a pillar in the San Diego community with his insight on his show, his podcast with the PPR. He's a sponsor of every organization that's coming across with the San Diego Strike Force. He's the GM there. That the Strike Force has put together a great team. They're playing really, really well this year. Ex-NFL player, ex-San Diego Charger, ex-great college football player, and so on, so on, so on. The man got a resume. My man, Bert Grossman.
Listen,
ex-young man. What else?
Bert come in looking better than us too. Shade.
Yeah.
Magnum PI with the aviator lenses on. Man, I ain't mad at you though, brother.
I'm outside. It's still sunny. Well, it's kind of cloudy. It's still sunny, but I had to. I'll take them off in a little bit. You want me to take them off now?
No, man.
You good, man.
Too cool. You look like you ready to call some plays or something. Look like you ready to, looking like Aaron Boone over there getting kicked out of the game. No. Bert, appreciate you for being back, man. Listen, you're already friend or family to the show. We've already done the introductions, folks. You can look up his credentials. They are real. This man, listen, defensive end, like Montel was saying, for the Chargers and for the Eagles. So he can hit you if he need to hit you. But talk to us a little bit about the San Diego Strike Force before we get into some of these other stories, man. Talk to us about what's going on this season with the team and with the league and anything special that you like to share with folks.
A couple expansion new teams, Jacksonville and who's the other one? We've had like 3 expansions in the last couple of years. San Antonio Gunslingers. It's been great this year. We actually had a full off season and we could go out and get players. We traded for a great quarterback last year at the middle of the season, which made a huge difference. We started out 3-0. Then last week we played the defending champs from last year. And we lost to them with like 10 seconds left. Missed a field goal to go into overtime. So the team's much, much better. We score about 60 a game now. Defense shorted up a lot. So it's been actually fun. We have another home game Sunday coming up at Pechanga Arena at 3:00.
You score 60 a game. Indoor football is just.
I think our third game, our quarterback had 9 touchdown passes in the game.
Yeah.
Just crazy.
I have to concur. I think it's if you haven't seen an indoor football game, I think anybody that's a fan of football needs to go, because it's even though it's different and it's not what you expect, it's very entertaining. They got some good things going on. The play is a lot faster, now I wouldn't say it's fluent, but definitely faster, a lot more contact that's going on now. The game moves really, really fast, so you got to pay attention. I think it's a great sport and definitely a great gateway if you're going to get to that next level after your college careers or after your high school, junior college careers, for sure.
Which that's the weird part about it, because you set your roster, you set everybody up, you're 3-0, and then all of a sudden our starting corner gets called up to the CFL. He signs with the CFL, and you have to let him go because that's what we're about. Spring football, same thing. So at any week you could lose a guy to the CFL or the UFL, and then you just have to replace it right away and keep going. We got a new field, Montel, too. You'd be happy to know that. Looks a lot better now.
Oh, cool.
Got a brand new one.
Yeah.
All right,
so
we got to get down there. We got to get back in there on the field and watch a game. I was surprised that there was a tackle that was made, knocked my man outside of the whole field, and it was like a legal play. I was like, man, y'all mixing.
And they land in somebody's lap on the first row. They'll land right in your lap.
Exactly. And my daughter, and man, Bert, thank you for inviting me to 2 weeks ago. My daughter enjoyed it, loved it to death. So can't wait to come back, bring her to the game again. Like I said, man, if anyone, if you haven't been, please, I promise you, go. It's well worth the money. it is well worth the money for entertainment for 2
That's it.
hours. So
I love it. Listen,
we're
we
good.
got a lot of stuff we won't get into, so I'm not going to belabor it, and I'm not going to talk a lot. It's all about Bert Grossman here. But we do
Okay.
got to talk about some news, right? We do got to talk about some news, and this story is a trip right here, man, because we've been talking, not the pancakes, whatever that article was, but we've been talking about Reggie. We've been talking about Reggie Bush needs to get his trophy back. Come to find out, what was it, today or yesterday? Today, Reggie Bush got his trophy back. What do y'all think about after 14 years that he gave it up for doing what he did and doing what everyone is doing and has done? Reggie Bush is finally reinstated back into the fraternity of Heisman Trophy winners, fully reinstated, fully invited back to the next ceremony as well, and just being welcomed back with open arms from all the other Heisman players, Heisman Trophy winners as well. What do you guys think about this?
I mean, I think it's a long time. I think you put over the top. I think for everybody was the Johnny Manziel documentary on Netflix and everything he did, and he didn't lose his Heisman.
Mm-hmm.
And everybody that's in any college going back to the 70s, if you play and you're that level player, everybody's getting paid. Whether you have it out for somebody and you want to go find them, you could literally dig into anybody, that level player. They're getting paid. Todd McNair was his coach that got blamed for a lot of it, got blackballed too and got reinstated. I grew up with Todd in Philly, known him since high school. Great guy. I just thought it was bad for everybody, the look on it, because everybody that's inside knows that everybody's doing it. And when you start pulling one guy out because you have a grudge or you want to, make a statement about one person, it didn't stop anything. It was just insane to me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think to echo what you're saying, Bert, and then also say the support that he had from the Johnny Manziels and the other Heisman recipients, how they all said they wanted him to be, he should get his trophy back. I think that puts a lot of pressure on NCAA as well as USC, because his was the only trophy that wasn't in the USC circle of their Heisman Trophy winners. And in this day and age, we have the cancel culture age, right? We have, if you have that stain on your eye, some people are going to look at it, and I think Reggie's such a polarizing figure in not only Southern California but throughout California, the way he played and what he represented. I think it's overdue, man. Like you say, he got punished for something that everybody's doing. Everyone was doing at that time. You can't tell me Matt Leinart didn't get paid. And not to mean to air Matt Leinart out, but I'm pretty sure he was getting some money out of the table. Yeah,
I got paid.
I got paid. Yeah. They all got paid, so why not? I mean, Vince, and on other teams, Vince was getting paid as well. Vince from Texas, the quarterback, he was getting paid as well.
Yeah, Vince. Yeah.
So, come on, man. I mean, it's long overdue. We're 13 years overdue on reinstating him his Heisman Trophy winner. So good to Reggie. Now I hope other avenues can open up for him, because I think he's been limited in his broadcasting career as well, just because of that black eye.
Yeah.
I think he's only been able to do the college day and not been able to go, it hasn't really been at least expanded the way he may be envisioned getting into that world because of this stain on his eye. Maybe now this is erased, other doors are open for him in his second career.
Oh, Montel. That stains from dating Kim Kardashian. That ain't from the Heisman. That's why
he's See, there he go. Bert coming
dirty stains. I'm sorry.
Man, why you throw dirt at Kim?
I'm just saying. I think that's where Reggie got that stain from. I don't think it's from the Heisman.
I kind of agree with you, man.
We're not
gonna get us in trouble here with no sponsorships, but I kind of agree with you on that one. I'll just leave it at that too.
We got to chop that clip up right there.
That's the one. Listen, folks, we got Bert Grossman here. You got questions for him? Put a cue in front of him so we can make sure that he knows about it. I saw Chris Stone say, now that Reggie's got his trophy back, does that mean Pete Carroll loses one of his trophies?
Mm-hmm.
My goodness.
Hey, I got before we go into the draft thing. Bert, I want to talk to you about the Chargers.
Y'all don't want to answer that question. Okay, see how y'all just gloss over that one. Okay, we don't
want to before we go. I want to answer about what are your thoughts of the current state of the Chargers? I mean, Harbaugh's in there. He's trying to shake a few feathers. He's gotten rid of two of the cornerstone players with the running back going to the Commanders and getting rid of Keenan Allen. Where did they go from here? And we'll talk about the draft later. But I'm saying, where do they go from here? Period. as an organization.
And Mike Williams getting rid of him too.
Yeah, that's right, Mike Williams.
Yeah, I mean, if you know Jim's literally, it's not his thing is God. I don't know. He puts football or family first. I think it's football and family, but he just lives, breathes, eats, obsession. That he's single focused life is football. He hasn't really failed nowhere, to be honest with you.
Yep.
I think he'll do well. I think that the only thing that held it back, I just never thought that the Spanos would give up that kind of control to Jim, because I knew Jim wouldn't take the job unless he had complete, full, utter control. And you have the dad, and then you have the two sons, and they've pretty much been put in the box somewhere, the nepotism box somewhere, and they have nothing now. So I didn't think it would get to that point. I think there was probably a lot of pressure from the other owners in the NFL. I mean, Chargers haven't even paid their $600 million relocation expansion fee to the other owners that they're owed, and we're at 6-7 years now. So they've had a lot of opportunity to get it right. They got it right one time in Marty Schottenheimer, and then they shot themselves in the foot and got rid of him again. And that set them back probably another 10 years. So you've seen the last three hires. They just had to go in a different direction. And I think the NFL pushed them to go in that direction, not so much the Spanos said, we'll give up control, we'll do everything else. We'll hire another inexperienced guy for $1.5 million. I think it was putting much pressure on there. You're in LA. This is the main market. I don't know why we let you have it in the first place, because we know how y'all are. But I think it got to the point where they're like, no, you need to bring somebody in here to fix it. And then guarantee fix it is really, Harbaugh's the only one you could really look out there and guarantee to fix it. I mean, Belichick's too old now, so there's not a long list of guys that have won in every level, every division, everything nonstop. And it's really just Jim Harbaugh at this point. Andy Reid maybe, but you're not getting him. You could have got him, but you didn't get him.
Yeah, no, that makes 100% sense. Yeah. And you're looking at, I like the way you're looking at it from a player and a GM perspective of the person you got to go. I told my man, Mr. Hicks, that Harbaugh was going to get it. I thought he was going to land in the Raiders. I really did thought the Raiders were going to be all in on him if Pierce didn't turn it around. But Chargers were actually the next logical choice that he was going to go to. I'm just surprised at the fast clean house. I thought Eckler would still be there. I thought Keenan would be there. I even thought Mike Williams would be there, especially with the relationship they have with the quarterback, because they've done so well together. But he's let go all of his weapons right now, and he's going to start from scratch to make sure it's okay. That's a shocker, especially when they need to win now. I think the waiting, they don't want to wait. The Chargers have been, next to the bottom of the dwellers of the division, or second place, way far behind Kansas City. They need to win now, like you said. In SoFi Stadium, they're second tier in LA. They're never going to be the number one team in LA. Matter of fact, they're the third tier in LA. It's the Rams, the Las Vegas Raiders, then comes the Chargers.
I think the 49ers might be ahead of them in LA too. I think they might be fifth, fourth or fifth.
Exactly. So Harbaugh's a great hire, but if he doesn't win, and I'm not even saying win the Super Bowl, but he has to get them to the playoffs, right? He has to get them to that next level. And you cut three of your top players. I'm kind of worried about how they do that.
I think, the difference with him is, and you're going to, I think a lot of the problem with the Chargers has been they can never really run the ball. They don't have a running game. So as great as Herbert is, and as great as those receivers have been, they've proven they can't win with that formula without a running game. So I don't see them, unless they get Marvin Harrison or one of the receivers, and is it Quentin Johnson, unless he steps up, because he was a bust last year. I think they're more concerned with actually getting a running game going so Herbert can be even better. I mean, everybody knows you go play the Chargers, it's Herbert's going to beat you or you're not going to get beat. There's no running game. There's no nothing. There's not even close. And even with Eckler. Eckler's a third down back. They tried to make him an every down back. That's what they want. I mean, they kind of want to be the Detroit Lions. I think they'll follow the same pattern as Detroit built. A strong running game without offensive linemen and defense. So, Herbert just will be 10 times better, even with average receivers, if there's other factors that you don't have to worry about. You don't have to worry about anything now except Keenan Allen and Mike Williams and Justin Herbert. Yeah. They have nothing else on offense. And I think if he changes, that opens up even more for, a Quentin Johnson, or if they get Marvin Harrison in the draft. Those guys have so much more options if you could just run the ball.
That makes sense. Okay.
Absolutely.
They got to get a running back, though, now.
Yeah.
They got to go out and get a running back.
They got the guy from the Ravens. I think they picked up who's running back from the Ravens.
No, they
I
both
forget.
signed. They both the running backs from the Ravens already went somewhere. They already signed somewhere. I thought they were gonna get big boy Derrick Henry from the Titans. It seems like a
That would have been.
logical fix. He can carry the ball 50 times. He's a
Yeah.
workhorse.
Yeah.
I mean, that to me makes a logical sense. I don't see a running back in the draft making an impact like that. But I know he's going to draft the guy from Michigan. He's going to draft that guy. I know in the later round. He won't be a day one guy, but he'll be a day two guy. I think Harbaugh use a pick on him. I'm just saying, like you said, we got to go to the Chargers. You have to go to a running game now. You got to get somebody that's proven in the NFL. I don't really see a lot out there, and you let go of Eckler, who I thought had some leverage to get somebody for him, and they didn't. They didn't use that. They got him. I don't even know if they got for him when they threw him to the Commanders. They just let him go.
Didn't get nothing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Part of the problem with that is not to interrupt you. Part of the problem with that, you get somebody like Eckler, you get a new guy in, and Eckler's still a good player, and you could still get out of him. But the Spanos has burned these bridges with these players so bad that there's a new head coach there, but I still don't see these dudes in the building anymore. I'm done with it. Have with Eric Weddle. I mean, it happens with everybody. And Rodney Harrison, Weddle. I mean, the list goes on and on of people that not only do they not want any parts of it, like you see these alumni days, nobody goes back to the Chargers. You'll see like Merriman and LT because they're getting paid.
Wow.
They're on a damn salary. That's why they go back. Nobody else goes back there and does any of that stuff. And they don't invite them. They don't want them to.
That's true, man.
Wow. So, I mean, that almost answers the question right there because Kevin was asking, how long do you think Harbaugh will last in the NFL this time? Right.
Yeah. That's a good question. I don't know. Like I said, he has no expectations next year. I mean, everybody else has expectations. But realistically, I don't think they have any because they haven't done anything in 30 years. And he'll take 1 or 2 or 3 years, but I still think they'll make the playoffs because they've always had the roster to make the playoffs. A starting roster. Their problem is they don't have any depth. One guy gets hurt, and then all of a sudden the whole thing falls apart. Or you get a coach that you hire a coach that has to go for it on 4th down 5 times in a game, no matter what. And it's in stupid positions when I don't care what data says or what analytics say. You don't go for it this time. I mean, you saw that Raiders game. I mean, a lot of that's coaching. I mean, you won't ever see. Andy Reid's team blow a 27-point lead in a playoff game like Jacksonville. I think a lot of that is just coaching and being, he's young and inexperienced, but at some point you're up by 27. Your strategy at halftime is protect the lead, not to go do all this crazy
run
shit.
The ball.
Run the ball. But they can't run the ball. So, but even if you pretend you're running the ball and don't go for the 4th down, punt the damn ball. So I think they've had a lot of things that have gotten in their way from that. But again, I mean, this is the Spanos, and this is why I think the league made him go get Harbaugh. This is the team that could have got Andy Reid, but got Mike McCoy instead. Things like that when it was open, and that's just what they do. I mean, they've always done that. So I think they're forced to give Harbaugh full control because his record compared to their record isn't even the same universe. So no matter what he does in 2 or 3 years, it's going to be better than what they've done in 30.
Yeah,
exactly.
I'll give you that. You can actually call some slack, call your own shots. That's true.
I mean, when I was there, it was a little different. I mean, we had Alex, the old man. Alex just gave it to Bobby Beathard or AJ Smith or whoever he gave it to, and they were good then. But it was when when Dean started getting involved, and it turned all crazy. And then Dean's firing Bobby Ross and then Beathard, and I mean, it just turned crazy after that. After the old man gave it to Dean to run.
It's funny you say that because that's simultaneous with the Raiders situation, right? They gave it over to the young Davis, and they haven't been able to get it right yet. Same thing with Spanos. Give it over to the kids, haven't been able to run it right since. It hasn't gotten right, even close to getting right since the younger generation have taken over. Which I don't know if they're cutting corners. I don't know if they just don't evaluate talent or what's out there. I don't know why they missed the formula because both their fathers had success, very much success. They knew how to go get talent. They knew how to let people lead. They knew how to direct their organizations. And actually, they never really had a bad public figure eye. All the time, people criticize Al Davis when he moved from LA to Oakland. That was it. But once that happened, it was fine. When Alex
Dean
was it Dean or go ahead. Sorry, go ahead.
No, I mean, the difference was both the dads were self-made men, and they knew how to lead men, and they knew how to build things and what it took. The sons were all nepotisms that sat at home and basically golfed and did nothing and never had a job, and then they get it taken over. And I mean, Gruden's great 20 years ago, but to give Gruden that contract when he's been out of the game that long is absolutely insane. Josh McDaniels has been proven not the guy 5 times before this, and to give it to him, I mean, it is insane.
Yes,
And I think they take for granted how much you have to have the team, as far as the coach has to own that team or have that team behind him, have the locker room. And you have Bechara. Was it Bechara that, brought them back in that playoff win against the Chargers, and then you just let him go when that's who they wanted. He didn't want to make that same mistake again. That's why he stayed with Antonio Pierce. But how do you make mistakes over and over and over again when they're simple? It's because they never worked. They never worked for anything. They never built anything. They never accomplished anything without their dads.
Oh my goodness!
Yeah,
this is why I don't get invited back to Charger stuff. By the way,
man,
I say this is why I don't invite anyone.
We got 30 plus people watching right now across multiple platforms, and we here in Bert Grossman dropping some knowledge on y'all. Let me interject real quick because I want to make sure just some administrative stuff. Hey Dan, I see you, appreciate you, man. Yeah, we over on the new YouTube channel for Team No Sleep, the Team No Sleep podcast. That's where we are, brother. So make sure you come over there on YouTube. And gentlemen, since I got you here, I see the lady of the month in the comments. Can y'all please wish my mother a early birthday? It's her birthday tomorrow.
Absolutely. Happy birthday, Mom.
Happy birthday, Mom. Yeah, it was my birthday last week. There you go.
You see, no, it's not about you. See,
I know.
There he go, man. We gonna go celebrate with Mom. We gonna go eat and we gonna go hang out. So there it is, right there. Let me ask this before we get into the draft questions as well, because there was a comment that came in, and specifically to you, Bert, and it was, what was it like for you going?
Hold on a second. Oh, all my neighbors keep pulling up my front yard.
Oh man, we gonna make you go full screen. We want to see this.
They don't talk to me. They don't talk to me all week. They say I'm on a damn Zoom call, and like 8 of them pull up already.
Want to hang out? What I'm saying, want some sugar? We come by. Want to use your vacuum. You got
Tell them to join the podcast and ask the questions they need to ask. They need to join the podcast and ask the questions. That's what they need to do.
Oh my gosh.
All right.
I love. So the question was, what was it like going in the first round in '89, and what the draft is like now for you and for these young guys? So comparative from when you went to what do you think it's like now?
A lot more money, but you know what's crazy? I think the great part about the NIL thing is, like, it used to be you blow all your money when you're a first rounder because you get it and you're not used to having any money. Now you got like this course ahead of time with your NIL, work with that, and then you get your contract. It was different. My draft year had so many players in it in the first round. It was, there was Deion Sanders, Troy Aikman, Barry Sanders, Derek Thomas, Andre Rison, Steve Atwater. I mean, we just had a list of like these first rounders. So it was such a stacked draft. I think they knew it at the time. There was 12 rounds back then, so that was different too. But just so different. We didn't have cell phones. We didn't have the internet. So you literally woke up and then we didn't have call waiting. So you have to leave like the phone like on the hook and nobody could use it because you're waiting there. But in true Charger fashion, I never even got called before that. I saw on TV that they drafted me. They didn't call me. And then the first call I got was from like a newspaper reporter. It wasn't even from the Chargers. I'm like, I should have known then.
Wow.
That's crazy.
Yeah, but it was, I mean, we had the same, the combine, we did the same combine thing. It just wasn't the coverage it is now. Like, you never saw anybody right before the draft get in trouble or do anything. There's no social media to get in trouble with, which a lot of it is now. There's no camera phones everywhere to get in trouble with. So we always got in trouble, but just nobody ever knew really. So I think that was probably the biggest difference. Obviously, the money's the biggest difference. I was the 8th pick of the first round, and my first year salary was $250,000, which is a lot of money. But that's like, mid-level NIL 1-year guy money in college now. So that was probably the biggest difference. You weren't like now. You literally can be a flop and not play it down in your first rookie year contract. It'd probably be set for life still. We didn't have that luxury. It was just pretty much, like I said, $250,000 is your salary. I signed. I held out the whole camp. Didn't work out. Didn't do a thing, like I always did year round, all year of my career. And then I signed the night before the opener. So no preseason, no anything. Flew out here on a Saturday night. We were playing on Sunday, and we had to go play the Raiders in the Coliseum. No clue what smog was. It's
Oh.
like the end of August, so it's like 100 degrees. They got smog, and then I wasn't doing any conditioning. And then, at that time they had Bo Jackson and Marcus Allen in the backfield. I literally was going to quit and hand my salary at halftime. That's how bad. I'm like, this ain't for me, man. I can't do this. and then it got better. I got in shape a little bit, and then I quit smoking, and then I got better. And then it was all right after that. But man, that first game, you want to talk about an eye opener. I don't know if it was a smog or that. And then the second game, we had to go to Denver. I didn't know anything about altitude either. But then after I got through those two in the beginning, I was like, I could do this. It's gonna be all right. And then it got a little better after that.
Where'd you come from? Where did you
I
live?
grew up in Philadelphia, and then I went to Pitt,
Okay.
University of Pittsburgh.
Okay. Man said he didn't know anything about altitude. Went over to the Mile High City, and
And that might have been worse than the smog. Except the only good part was, they had Elway, so you had to chase Elway around, which wasn't as bad as Bo Jackson and Marcus Allen, but Elway and the altitude, man, I was like, what is going on with that? Because all I ever played was that Elway football game, the video arcade game, and man, that came to real life. I was like, holy mac! But I got used to it.
Man, listen, y'all not gonna get this anyplace else. Oh my gosh!
No, not at all.
This is raw.
Hey, but bro, what's crazy? Like, so the draft today, as it is today, compared to when you got drafted, I think the dynamic, the quality of player one is different, right? Definitely completely different as far as skill set and all that stuff. Because these kids train all year round and all that stuff. They're already more NFL ready, I think, based on the scheme things than there are now than they were back then. There was room for development back when you were drafted. There's not that much room for development now when you get to the league now. It's like you got to be ready to go, or you got 3 years to get it right, and after that 3 year, that rookie contract's up. You're no longer in the NFL, pretty much. The only ones
that get a pass on that is a quarterback, pretty much. But you're seeing less and less of that. If you're a top 10 quarterback and you don't play right away, I mean, you're like Zach. What's his name from the Jets? That just got Zach Wilson. I mean, he's year 2 and out of there. So Justin Fields, year 2 and out of there. But Kenny Pickett, year 2 and out of there. It was never like that before. I mean, you never got rid of a first rounder. There was a lot of first rounders that didn't play. I mean, our year was Tony Mandich, who was, he was the second pick in the draft. He got picked ahead of Barry Sanders. This is an offensive lineman. Barry Sanders, Deion Sanders. Yeah, and he didn't play, and he kind of got ousted his 3rd or 4th year. But there wasn't a lot of guys that, like you said, you had a little time for development then. But now, I mean, you'd be out there in a second. We had no salary cap. You don't have to worry about that. Nobody was making any money really, and there was no free agency. But yeah, there was a lot. I would say there was a lot. I wouldn't say a lot more misses. You always had a couple misses in there, but yeah, they kind of took it a little more serious. And you had 12 rounds. There was no free agency, but you had 12 rounds. So you kind of had to get in the draft because there was no free agency to go in the offseason and start signing other people. It was like, if your contract's up and you want to sit out for the rest of your career, sit out for the rest of your career because there's no free agency. Yeah. If we're not trading you, you're not going.
It just seems like it was such a short time ago, but such a long time ago, just compared to, again, access to really money. It's running the whole NIL conversation, and then you talking about free agency and collective bargaining, things like that. Just it almost seems like a whole different, just night and day from when you played versus where it is now, and then the issues that the players have to go through today versus what we see, the issues that the players go through today versus what you went through. Because I remember when you told us, when you were here last time, you said, listen, all the stuff that's happening, we did it too. We caused trouble. We did what we did. It's just, there were no, like you said, there were no cell phones. There were no social media. So no one did know instantly when we did it. You had to wait till 11 o'clock at night when Walter Cronkite talked about it, as opposed to SVP talking about it that night. That's just crazy. Question about...
I think...
Go ahead. I'll let you go first.
I think the shift is even happening fast. I mean, you got to think in the last 3 years, the shift that's happened with NIL to the NFL, the shift has changed drastically because the ideal of free agency is now slipped down to college football and even high school football. Let's be perfectly honest. It's all free agency now. Like, you can go anywhere you want to in 1 year and go. And I know the high school rules, you got to sit out, but that's going to be eliminated pretty soon as well. Just like they just did it in college. You don't have to sit out. You can go where you want. You can go play where you want. Because now, especially in college and going to the pro, the money stakes are so high. It's super high right now. And I don't know how they're going to reframe NIL or how they're going to put some frame on. I don't know how you open Pandora's box and close it. But if they don't grab some legs around it, college football will be pro football. And Bert, just kind of sidebar, the way it's going right now with college football, I don't know if there's a life for the UFL. Because now that these players are getting played, you have 4 years of development, and that's it. There's no need for NFL teams to dump into a UFL or USFL or spring ball season because high school should be. You're getting paid now. You're getting paid to play. If you're not developing 4 years, why am I going to invest another 2 or 3 years to see if you can make it or not? It's not, because there's no such thing as a 24-year-old, 25-year-old rookie coming in the league tearing it up. It doesn't happen. Am I correct on that assessment?
Yeah, unless, I mean, there's always you always see Deion Sanders, or you'll see Barry, but again, you have to go back a while to pull that up and back to what we talked about before. But I don't know how the UFL makes it either. I mean, you just turn it on. There's 100 people at the game, and the stadium's empty. Mm-hmm. And I mean, the TV contract can't be that big. I mean, The Rock owns it, so he got plenty of money. But by the time for him, it might make sense. But how much do you lose for how long? Because it's never going to switch over. Yeah. USFL didn't make it, and they used to fill stadiums. I mean, you just can't compete with the NFL. It's just, I don't know what how do you compete with them? You don't. I mean, it might be like UFC. Then you have these lower level, fighting things and something like that. But I mean, you're right. It's just, changed.
Can it even compete as a development league? I don't even think it can compete as a development league at this point, because if you got 4 years of college and kids in college are getting paid more than the UFL players are getting paid, and these guys are playing, I'm not going to spend, if I'm the NFL, I'm not going to invest in Rock's vision because they're already getting paid in college. They have those years to develop. I'm not going to pay for another 1 or 2 years, which at that point, you're 24 or 25 years old, which it's very hard to see a 24 or 25-year-old rookie outside of quarterback coming and making an impact in the NFL. It's very rare that happens. They've already drafted and they're developing them on the practice squad. Am I correct?
And it's a weird in between, because again, it's you look at the rosters and it's a lot of schools that aren't, we're used to the top 25, top 30, top 50 schools, and they're not coming from there. I mean, you look at it's the same thing with us at Strikeforce. I mean, most of the colleges you pull up, you never even heard of these colleges. And I think it's good for them because they don't get a lot of exposure. And if they can tear it up and get some exposure, but if it's not for the lower guys and the colleges don't get any exposure and don't get any NIL money, it just doesn't make sense.
Yeah, I agree, and that's part of. I love it. I love the idea. The idea is great.
Yeah.
The idea is great for having it, but the practicality of having it and having to be as how they deem it as a development league for the league, it won't be it. It can't be it. There's no way. I've seen the fork in the ground. Like, if you don't make it after college, pretty much it's got to be, that's it. You're not going to make it in the league. If you don't, you maybe got a 1 year window after that. If you can get in as a free agent doing some stuff. But those stories of the guy was driving a UPS truck one day and now he's on the NFL the next day.
That's gone.
Those don't exist no more. That doesn't exist anymore.
Yeah, those days are gone. And they forget you quick.
Yeah.
They forget you quick. I mean, you could be All-American, and 8 months later, they're all to a new crowd of kids. They're on to the following year, and again, like you said, you're too old at that point.
Yeah. So I love what The Rock's doing, but I would like to paint that. I always like to give our audience that vision and understanding that I love the idea of the UFL. I love the idea of development. I love the idea of that, but they got a bunch of ex-NFL guys and a bunch of guys that were either busting college or guys that were just trying to make it to get that exposure. I'm saying that window is maybe 1, maybe 2 years in the UFL. And if you can't make it out of that 1 to 2 years, at the age of 24, you're not going to the NFL. And at that point, like you said, The Rock's going to be like, well, if I'm not a development lead and I don't see the moving in and out, how much money I'm going to lose because the TV rights is not there. I'm not going to get the endorsements I'm doing. And at some point, the money's just coming out of my pocket. Which that's
and then, you know what? And a couple more years doesn't even really make a difference. I mean, there's always that one factor, whether you don't make it or you're a bust or you're not, or you don't live up to your potential. It's either, you're lazy as shit like I was. You're not a dog. I don't know, you like to party too much. And if you haven't changed that by 25 that made you that way, you're not going to change it. I mean, this isn't like, oh, I'm a freshman in high school and I messed up. But by the time I'm a junior, I figured it out. I mean, if you're 25, 26 and you still got that monkey on your back, it's not going away. So nothing's going to change. It's going to be the same way to any league.
Yep. I agree.
That's the Manziel story.
Yeah.
That right there is a synopsis of what happened to Johnny. Man, he was so good. He was, but he just got caught up, and I don't know. It's never going to work. He can't come back. It's too late, right? He's too old. He can probably still play. A lot of other players probably that are not in the league right now that probably can still play. I'm thinking like the T.O.s, the Collins, the who else?
Well, you got Cam claiming he can still play.
Cam Newton. That's who I was thinking about too, right? You got players that can still play, but their age and then moving on to
no,
next.
They claim they can still play. Hold on.
Yeah, they can still play.
But
they can't still.
I don't think they can still play.
Their 40 time is not what it used to be. That 40 time is not what it used
to be.
Well,
here's what you don't get. This is what you don't get because, like T.O., he hasn't played for 10 years. He wasn't that great 10 years ago. That's why he got let go get another contract. You tell me he aged 10 years and all of a sudden he's still good enough to play?
Yeah.
No,
he can't play no more.
Yeah. Ocho Cinco's another one.
And we can agree he's a tremendous athlete. He's a tremendous athlete at the age he is now and all that stuff. But the fact of the matter, going in the lead and play, I don't think the only thing he can offer is maybe leadership in the locker room. That's probably much it. Because at this point, if he did play a great game, it's only for 1 year or maybe only a few games. I don't think you can sustain it over 18 games to be effective at the league. So those guys, I love their ambition. They can still play, but they can't. But I do agree what Cam said on his podcast when he was talking about how do you pay what's the name all that money in Atlanta. Kirk Cousins all that money in Atlanta.
Yeah.
Well, you could have got a couple other guys that will do the same thing, and they're going to come out with the same record. Atlanta still with Kirk Cousins is not going to win more than maybe 6 to 7 games. And you can pay him $100 million.
Yeah, they just bought Matt Ryan again. Basically, that's all they did was it's Ryan all over again. Yeah, I don't.
So
I don't know. I mean, some of these teams, but Atlanta's almost like the Chargers were. It's like everything they do is wrong, and you just look and you're like, how do you keep doing this like decision after decision? But Kirk Cousins that dude's the smartest dude to ever play football because he's gonna make about $300-400 million and not win a playoff game in his whole career.
Exactly.
He's a nice dude. Yeah. He's a nice guy. Don't get in any trouble. Don't get in any trouble. Go after the game. Go straight home to his family. Right, cuts the grass, but he's bringing in millions of dollars for not winning anything, and just telling folks, "Do you like that?" Y'all look up Kirk Cousins. Yep. That's what he did. Listen, I'm loving the comments that are blowing up in here. Dan, don't get in trouble. Man, listen, you're right. Bert lived close to you. He come over and put these hands on you. We don't start talking madness in the comments now. We got moderators that will look out and make sure that we stay straight. Well, let's kind of deviate back into the draft now, because talking about these old cats that think they can still play, but we got some new folks that's coming in. What are your thoughts on the 2024 class? The draft happening tomorrow, right? In Detroit. You got Eminem going up there doing his thing, whatever. Him and Roger Goodell are doing commercials. It's big time TV. You got Caleb Williams out there talking about I need to own half of the team that drafts me, and arrogance, the cockiness, whatever of that statement. Bert, what do you think about the class that's going to be announced tomorrow in round 1?
I mean, it's hard to tell. Like the quarterbacks are what is crazy to me. Like, because we talked about earlier, that one class, Zach Wilson, Pickett, Justin Fields. Like you never see 2 or 3 years and they're all like traded or benched or whatever. And you'll have Drake May and you'll have Caleb and who's it, Penix, and there's Bo Nix and there's missing. It's hard to tell. I think everybody. What the craziest part of the draft? We talk about how old we are. Mel Kiper was doing a draft when I got drafted. He's still doing it. So
wow.
That's always.
And he still can't get it right. He still can't get it right.
And still can't get it right. You're right. That's it. The only thing that hasn't is Mel Kiper since I got drafted. But I don't know. It's hard. The crazy thing for me is everybody says the Chargers are going to trade their 5th pick, but if Harrison's there, do you and you have a shot at a player like that at 5? Do you trade down because you want an offensive tackle? I mean, how do you not? I don't. He's the one guy I think, and he's probably going to get passed up by the dude from LSU. I think is the number one receiver, and he's going to be there at 5 probably. So do the Chargers still trade down because that's what they're saying now, or they talk about them taking the quarterback from Michigan, which is insane. That's not going to happen, or trading Justin Herbert and getting the number one pick or whatever.
So talk about that because J.J. McCarthy said he's not even going to go. He's not even going to be in Detroit. So talk to us about your thoughts on why you even said that piece right there.
I didn't go to the draft either, and it was in New York. It was always in New York then, and I was, a projected top 10 pick. I don't think there's any upside to it, to be honest with you, and especially for him, because there's so many weird wavering things that go on. It's almost like that dude that had his girlfriend there last year and ended up going the second round. I mean, become the story. I mean, you just never know what happens, and he's right at that spot where he could either be a top 10 pick or not go till day 2 because everybody's kind of weird on him, and he's the story this year. So I don't think there's anything in it for him except to be the story that they keep going back to, where he looks all depressed and he's on the phone, and how they do that to the one dude that's supposed to go in the first round and doesn't. I mean, that's just hard. I mean, so if I was in that position, and I don't know if I was or why I didn't go. I don't remember why I didn't go because I lived in Philly and it was an hour and a half away, and I was a top 10 pick projected. But I mean, since then, it's just been. I had a friend, Mark Spindler, who played at Pitt, and he was projected to be a first rounder. And he ended up going in the third round, and man, they were just back and forth, and they just, I mean, it was crazy. And the sad part about it was I was in Hawaii on vacation. It was my rookie year, and I knew ESPN was doing it, and they were doing it from his dad's bar. So the cameras were at the bar, and they kept waiting. And he was supposed to be a first round. He went in the third round. So every time they'd be, Mel Kiper would say they're going to draft Mark Spindler, I would call his dad's bar and pretend like I was the coach from that team.
That's cold, man. That's cold.
I know, man. So he was seeing, the bar, and it was in like Scranton, PA. It was like a white trash bar, and they would all go crazy. And they're like, "He's on the phone. He's on the phone. They're going to pick me next pick." I did that like 3 or 4 different times, and then I felt bad. I'm like, man, I can't do this no more because it was on ESPN. But I mean, there's really no upside to going there.
There'd have been some furniture moving.
There's no upside to going if you're that guy that could be in the first round, but could also be day 2. I mean, what's the upside to going there except getting embarrassed?
That's true.
That's true.
Yeah. And he's a weird pick like that. You look at half the things he'll say will be a first rounder, half say he's not going to be a first rounder. Those are always the ones that you get in that spot, and you're like, man, I don't want to be sitting there with my girl and my parents and just have me crying, my jacket's off. I mean, last pick, shutting the lights out.
I don't see him as a first round pick. The way it's going to flow after. It doesn't flow right for him to be in the first round. Maybe a day 2 second round guy.
I agree with you. I don't think he is either.
Yeah, Caleb's going to go 1, as they're all saying. Unless they make that trade, which I don't see saying they're going to make that trade at all. Why would you get rid of Herbert and start all over for number 1? So if there's no trade, there's nothing that's going to happen on the block. Obviously, Caleb goes number 1, and then everything follows second. I like what you said about if Marvin Harrison slides down to 5 to San Diego. There's no way you pass on him unless Harbaugh has he's a very what can I say? He holds a grudge. And Marvin Harrison went to Ohio State. You hold a grudge against Ohio State for the rest of your life if you're a Michigan guy. Does he want to work with somebody from Ohio State?
He better. Well, you have to think about something. We're talking about, you said don't see him giving away Justin Herbert. I mean, if you think about it, I mean, because, I come from Philly or Steelers, and these places, Atlanta, places they haven't had a quarterback in the entire franchise history. I mean, Chargers have been pretty fortunate. Just recently, Dan Fouts, right? You have a little time off. You could have got Marino. You didn't go get Marino. Then you get Stan Humphries, pretty good. Then you get Drew Brees, pretty good. Then you get Phillip Rivers, pretty good. Now you got Justin Herbert, pretty good. All that time, you got about 6 playoff wins between some Hall of Fame dudes in there and nothing else. And really only, out of that 40 years, you probably only had 5 years without that caliber of quarterback because, Phillip was there so long. Fouts was there so long. Herbert, even Stan Humphries. Drew Brees was there for a while. And they still couldn't put it together. So I don't know if quarterback's the thing they really need. I mean, Herbert has a big contract. I know the game's changed, but they don't do too well with Hall of Fame quarterbacks and that high caliber quarterback. Maybe they just want to run the ball more. I don't know what they want to do, but it's just a weird stat if you look at all these teams that have. I mean, some fan bases to have that list over 40 years of quarterbacks. I mean, there's Breeze Hall of Fame. Rivers should be Hall of Fame. Fouts is. Herbert could be. I mean, that's a pretty good run at quarterback, and only have maybe 5 years in between the last 45 where you didn't have that caliber quarterback, and still have nothing to show for it.
Yeah, I mean, you're right. The only time they were, I say, Chargers were relevant is when LT and Phillip, right, or LT and Breeze, right? LT early years, Breeze, LT veteran Hall of Famer with Rivers. So
yeah,
that's been their last good. But also, you can't say you can't attribute LA being the reason. If they would have stayed in San Diego, I think things would have been at least a lot better. One from a fan point, and I think they would own the town, right? They would be the talk of the town. In LA, they are, like you said, they're a fourth. No one cares about the Chargers.
So they're behind USC. They're farther down the fourth. They're behind USC too.
Man, that's sad.
It's true.
Oh man. Wow. So you say they trying
if you throw the Lakers and the Clippers in there, and then the Dodgers. Oh. I mean, sports franchises are about 9 or 10.
Man, that's sad.
Yeah. If you look at all the LA sports, they're probably 7th or 8th, right? Got to be in that 7th, 8th realm because you got to go to LA Kings hockey are above them as far as LA sports.
And you got to go UCLA basketball too. They're below them.
The Bruins. Shouts out to man, wow. That's crazy to think about it, though. All the money on that stadium, though.
Servite might be ahead of them. Servite's ahead of them, I think.
He over talking about junior colleges. Man, my gosh, he talking junior.
He talking about high school football ahead of them, man.
Yeah, but now you brought up there. South Coast junior colleges ahead of them too.
But to the draft though, so you say they don't pass. You don't pass. I say you don't pass on Marvin Harrison if he's there.
I say don't pass on him either. Yeah, I don't know how you pass on him, but I mean they're going to want offensive linemen. You know, if you trade the 5 and you get 3 picks down the road or 4 picks down the road, or it's nowadays it's crazy. You go up 3 spots and all of a sudden you get 2 extra first rounders. I think you do it then maybe if you think you have that much depth, but you're still rolling the dice with a college offensive lineman coming in and making a difference against a good defensive line in the NFL. It's still rolling the dice. I mean, it happens, but the drafts, or you end up like Mitch Trubisky. You give up the house and move up, and you get Mitch Trubisky. I mean, that's the problem with college guys. You just never know, unless it's Barry Sanders and or Deion Sanders. You just know. I mean, there's no real risk in that, or Penny Sewell. I mean, some guys you just know, but I don't know if. I think Marvin Harrison is probably the closest guy to that in this draft. Klebe, you kind of don't know just because he's a little goofy what's going to happen. But talent-wise, great. But you just don't know.
Who's your number one guy, Bert? If you had the number one pick, you were a GM, who would you go with? You're Chicago right now. You got the number one pick. Who would you go?
I mean, you have to go with Klebe. I mean, he's the best player. I think head and shoulders above everybody. But I mean, I don't know. I mean, does it bother you that he wears, lipstick and paints his fingers and has pink cell phone? I mean, does it bother you? Because the problem is, it might not bother you. Here's the problem: it might not bother you in LA, right? Because everything goes on in LA, but it's going to bother a fan in Chicago.
Yeah,
because that's a different town. Chicago's a working town, immigrants, just a hardworking town, and hardworking fans. That'll bother them. So I don't know how much you put in consideration, because if he wins, that won't bother him at all. That's just the way it goes. Yeah. But, does that fly in Pittsburgh? Does that fly in Detroit? Does that fly in Chicago? I don't know. Of course, it flies in the West Coast.
Don't throw batteries at you, right? Don't throw
batteries. Yeah, we're different here. So it flies out here, but I don't know how that flies there. Or crying in the stands after a game. A lot of it, I think, is too much. I mean, I think people forget these are still kids. You got to give them some grace. I mean, if I post something that I did it when I was 18, 19 years old or 21 years old, I wouldn't want to see it. But fortunately, we didn't have social media and I had to do it. I mean, you imagine, you're with your friends, because we're old. You with your friends and you drinking after a game, and you pull up your phone, you start making these goofy ass TikTok videos, and then you wake up sober the next day, and you're like, damn. But that's what you do when you're young. We weren't exposed to that. We were protected from that because we didn't have the technology. But then we judge these kids now that do it, And I'm like, man, I don't even want to see if I go back to 1987, 3 a.m, Pittsburgh. There's probably an 8-ball on the counter, 8-ball of Coke on the counter, and I don't even want to know. And then you click on, you act like you're all cool on Instagram and click it on, and your life's over. But we all did it, but we just, we didn't have the technology to get caught because we're just dumb. We just didn't, it wasn't there. So I can't imagine doing that now. And like I said, people forget they're still college kids, they're kids, and they do stuff like that. And we all did stuff like that, but we forget because we're older now and we have a little better judgment, and we turn the phone off, start drinking.
Take that note. That's a note right there for y'all youngsters. God. So what? Okay. So do we blame him, or do we blame his management? Do we blame his team for making this? I'm gonna call it an outlandish request that he gets equity in the team. That do you think that's a real request coming from Caleb Williams?
No, I don't. There's just no.
Because
I mean, you can look at. Yeah, I mean, if you look at Tom Brady, never got something like that. What makes you think you're going to get that after come 7-5 from USC? I mean, because at the end of the day, you still were 7-5. I don't care what it was. I mean, you can be the greatest quarterback ever. Yeah, you were 7-5 at USC. This man won 7 Super Bowls and he get near that. So I don't even know if that was even a request made or somebody made that up. Because that's the other thing. When I was getting drafted, it was, saying I read so much stuff that I supposedly said and did that never happened. Like never happened. And I mean, seriously, and they make it up and they do whatever. And, it might be the guy that wants Caleb to slip down to 3. The team slips down to 3. So let's start making this stuff up. Let's get him to slip a little bit. I mean, he acts like Prince. All right. If he plays like Prince, then you got the greatest player ever. I don't think that part matters. Yeah. I don't think that part matters, but yeah, I don't think he said that. And if you look at him, you don't ever hear this coming out of his mouth. I think a lot of people might want him to move down, meaning you got the 5 pick. I'm gonna say, well, it's Chargers. You have the 4th pick. I'm gonna say some stuff about Caleb too. Maybe he'll get down to my level because I can't get him now unless I say something. But yeah, a lot of that's just bullshit.
I got a question for you, Bert. Caleb Williams reportedly made $11 million in NIL money. Now he goes into this draft. How much leverage does he have when it comes to contract time? And I know there's there's that rookie. The rookie contract is kind of set, but he's going to go in there discussing the options, right? Does he get the option the 3rd year? Does he get the option the 4th year? Does his salary go? And he gets to discuss the signing bonus. Yeah. Having $11 million in your pocket, man, and then going next, the discussions can go real slow. Or he's going to set the ball real high.
Yeah. That's a good point. That's a good point because if you don't, because everybody signs immediately now, pretty much. There's no, like back in my day, everybody missed camp. You can't miss camp as a quarterback and do anything. So I don't know how slow can go these days, but it's a good point. But I mean, all the money. I mean, everybody wants, the team obviously cap reasons. They want that rookie contract, and hopefully they can make something out of it. Jalen Hurts rookie contract. They go to the Super Bowl. Chargers being the Chargers, they got top 5 quarterback in the league on a rookie contract for 4 years, can't do a damn thing. So they want that for the salary cap to build around and get other people. But I mean, again, with him, either he's going to be terrible or he's going to be the greatest thing in the world, depending on how he adjusts. Because physically and everything, he has everything. I mean, it's just whether, he goes off the rails himself or he can't adjust to the lifestyle, which I don't see that happen because he got $11 million in L.A. He already knows what the lifestyle is. If you got $11 million at 21 years old in L.A., you know what the lifestyle is. That's not going to be a shocker. So with him, it's going to be, the second contract where it's $350 million. So I don't think he'd lose sight of that because, like you said, it's still enough money that you don't want for anything. And if you have that vision and you're that kind of player, which either he is or he isn't, but he thinks he is, obviously. So he's going to be looking at the $350, $400 million contract, second contract. Like you said, I don't know whether that's after year 3, 4, or 5, but I think it'd have to be at least 4 and option 5.
Gotcha. And the add some more to that with the success of Brock Purdy, and he's about to break the bank, right, in San Francisco. If Caleb doesn't go to the Super Bowl, says or whatever incentives in his contract, how is that going to his negotiations? Especially because I know they get there. His bonus is going to be outrageous. Let's just be real. They're going to give him some money up front. Yeah. And I think Caleb is going to demand some money up front.
Yeah.
Where does he? I don't even know where does that play in. I mean, because I already got $11 million in the bank. All right, I'm coming in here. I'm the number 1 pick. We already know that the draft already increases 10 to 15% every year as far as cash flow comes in. But I think he's going to do a record setting on signing bonus this year because Chicago has the money. They're desperate for a quarterback. They just got rid of the quarterback they drafted 2 years ago. Brock Purdy's about to come off of another record contract. Like, the hot ticket is quarterback money. Is he gonna have some leverage to get a lot of that, you think? Or does Chicago play stalemate and kind of wait him out?
Let me ask you a question, because I mean, there's a lot of people that don't believe in Brock Purdy. If you're in Chicago right now, right? Mm-hmm. And the 49ers offered you Brock Purdy, or you get to draft Klebe, which one would you take?
Ooh.
Right now?
Because I like Brock Purdy, but there's a ceiling with him. I mean, physically, talent-wise, whatever he's doing. I mean, I
would say, I'll tell you this. I'd take Brock Purdy if I get the OC with San Francisco. If I get that same OC, the similar OC, with that same exact offense, I take Brock Purdy because I think he's very precise. He knows what he's doing.
They ain't giving him.
Understand? Yeah. But I'm saying, or somebody from that pedigree of San Francisco to run that same similar offense. Now, if I'm going scratch for free, I'm going with what I got now, and I'm like, we're just gonna go with whoever we got at OC and bring him in. I'll probably go with Caleb to bring him in. Me personally, I think Caleb has all the skills, but like you said, you're 75 at USC. You're good mobile. You're good on improvising and making plays. But me and you both know, in the NFL, that's not going to happen. Those plays you're making in college is not going to happen in the NFL. You're going to get hit a lot more. I don't know how durable you are going to be at the professional level because, you're a man amongst boys in the college league, but you're not going to be a man amongst boys when it comes to the league. So, and most of his success were off of improvising. He would make a play, cut it out, and do something. That's great. I see that being good in the long run and probably in the short run to make some plays. But longevity-wise, he's going to have to adjust to a system or he's going to fall failure to every black quarterback that comes in the league. If you don't adapt to the system and freelance it, you're going to be out eventually because that starts to outweigh itself if you're not as successful. We've had the only one that's been playing the system so far, Jalen Hurts been very good in the system. He's been very good playing in the system, doing what they do. Every other African-American quarterback is a very good athlete that comes to play quarterback. We don't see them very often. He's the hot flash for a minute, and he's gone in the next 2 or 3 years. Or his career starts to decline. A la except for the Michael Vicks. All the rest of them have been
on I disagree on it. Like, look, I like Justin Fields. I think if Justin Fields was in San Francisco and Brock Purdy was with that staff in Chicago, you would have.
I agree. I would agree with you 100%. Yes.
And part of it is that, I mean, you get Justin Fields got that, and now he's going to go to Pittsburgh, who probably got a worse offensive staff than Chicago. And
but hold on, Justin Fields, he couldn't make it in Chicago. With Justin Fields being and he's a great athlete. He can't make it in Chicago. So how would we put Caleb Williams, who's either equal or maybe a little bit better of an athlete? I can give him he's a little bit better than Justin Fields. What makes me think he's going to be successful in Chicago? You already had a guy that was pretty good. Damn good. Yeah. Has a great strong arm, accurate, can run the ball, do what you want, and you were horrible. Caleb Williams is the same. It's the same thing.
So what's going to change?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So,
I don't know if any quarterback goes there and does well. I don't. Chicago's. I don't even know who their offense coordinators, but he should be in high school. And it's the same thing. And that's what I feel bad for, because the Steelers, their offense coordinator sucks too. I mean, they don't have Matt Canada anymore. He was really bad, but you get these guys and they get put in, you expect so much from them. Look, Justin Fields played and won everything in the Big Ten, not Michigan, but that's a high level. He's obviously stayed within their system. He could do it. You go to these bad systems, these bad coaches, and everybody blames the player, but it isn't that. It's just you fit somewhere and somewhere sometimes you don't. I mean, I'll give you an example. I got drafted. When I got drafted, it was Dan Henning here. And when I was at Pitt, my defense coordinator was John Fox, the coach for the Bears.
Coach Fox, Panthers.
Yeah, so I got drafted for a specific position because I wasn't a big D lineman by any means. I might have been 260 pounds, 255 or whatever. I got drafted for a specific position, like this hybrid outside line, like Richard Dent used to play. We were on the same defense set. We played that for 2 years. Everything's cool because I mostly line up on air. I didn't have to do shit. I mean, I do shit, but I didn't have to line up head up on a big offense tackle. That staff gets fired. New staff comes in. We all have to move around. Now, all of a sudden, I'm a 3 technique at 255 pounds, or I'm a 245. I'm lined up on the center. I mean, we still move around, but it's not what you're built for. It's like taking a left-handed pitcher and telling him to go pitch right-handed, or I'm a great shortstop, so why don't you put me a catcher? It doesn't at that level of play. It doesn't work that way. Where you fall in the system is where you should be, or else you're not going to succeed because the level's so high. So I think a lot of it's that way with a lot of quarterbacks that come in, and not just him. I think Mitch Trubisky should have been a great quarterback, but Zach Wilson, I think, talent-wise, should have been, but you see it coming. It's New York. He comes from Utah, in New York City, the most brutal place in the world. He can't handle that criticism. I mean, coming there and the high expectation. Then a trash offensive coordinator. I mean, I'm not saying he's going to be great again, but by the time you ruin these kids' psyches, especially the quarterbacks, because that's hard to get back. I mean, once you ruin it. And I think that's what happens with them. They ruin these systems. Nobody blames the coaches. Nobody blames, why'd you draft him? He doesn't fit here. This kid's a Mormon from Utah. He can't make it in New York media. And then they just blame the kid. So I don't know if he can bounce back or if he's able to bounce back, but who knows?
Yeah, I think, but the hype is so much on his athleticism and the way he plays, right? The way Caleb has done in athleticism. I really do believe there's a ceiling for athletic quarterbacks in the league if you can't fit into a system. Because if you're going on athleticism alone, which they do, and I'll double down on African American quarterbacks that come in, they double down saying that these great athletes are going to be athletic, they can do all these things, and when they can't do it at the level because the schemes of defenses are so sophisticated and the guys are so fast and they don't have success, they get them out of the league. They typecast them. They go be backups at places and they never get a chance. Their psyche is destroyed at that point. When I agree with you, it's a system. System makes the quarterback. And we've only had a handful of very successful athletic quarterbacks. And most of them conform to the system. I'm gonna tell you, I think the boy at Kansas City, he's athletic, but he doesn't run. He's athletic within his pocket and he plays in a well-groomed system. Green Bay Packers are the best team to groom a quarterback because they make them wait. I feel they make them wait, they make them learn, and that's where they start to become their success. Aaron Rodgers had to sit behind Brett Favre for a certain amount of years, and this kid Love has sat behind Aaron Rodgers for years, and he's finally got his chance, and he's able to shine. But all these teams that, like you said, throw them to the wolves. I like to say throw them to the wolves, and they expect these athletic quarterbacks to be able to dust and adapt and be able to do their thing, and they're going to be just as great as we're in college. Unfortunately, 9 times out of 10 it hasn't panned out. It just.
But I think the most important.
It's frustrating to see. Yeah.
The most important thing you said was the Bears just traded away Caleb Williams, and they're just, Fields. They're replacing Fields with Fields again. He's the next Justin. It's the exact same thing, except Fields was a winner. He won more than 7 games. But it's the same style of play, and it's like if you couldn't make it work in your system, because it wasn't him. You could look at the offense. I mean, he literally is running around for his life. It wasn't running around, I'm trying to do my own thing. It was running around for his life. And if that doesn't change, you just bring in a West Coast Justin Fields in to Chicago now. And you're right. I don't get it. Why? And maybe they don't pick him. Maybe it's all smokescreen. But they will pick him, and everybody's going to be like, you just traded away Justin Fields, who is the spitting image of Cleve. Runs around, great athlete, makes plays. You throw it up, drop dimes, but you're not going to give him anything. And that's the other point. If they do give him everything and change everything, why do you do it for Justin Fields? Why don't you just make the change and let that man give it all to him? Yep. Like a lot of it makes no. I don't know.
Yeah, I like if I had the number 1 pick myself right now, I would trade down. And I'm either going to go all in on defense to make us the number 1 defense in the league and do like a la Cleveland. How the Cleveland did it, they just built their defense to be so good that it'll make up a lot of the mistakes on their offense. Or I trade down and I'm just going to load up on the offensive line. Whether they're young or not, I need to have depth at offensive line to be able to protect whoever's back there first. Because I tell James all the time, any quarterback in the NFL that plays in the NFL, if you can give them enough protection long enough, they'll hit them. They're going to hit their target. It's just a matter of time. So I'm going to load up as much as I can on offensive line, and let's go from there. But I think the Chicago Bears, a la San Diego Chargers, a la all these teams that are in the top 5 picks, it's the same. They're drafting the same exact player they drafted in the last 2 or 3 rounds and expecting it to change
anything without changing anything within themselves. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's like at some point, I mean, it's just if you say you like strippers all the time and you keep getting strippers and they keep cheating on you, at some point it's your fault for picking strippers. I mean, but it's always the same thing. But they won't change what they're doing wrong. They never want to look at what they're doing wrong. But I don't know. Yeah, I mean, Chicago's just frustrating me because, like you said, that kid was a great quarterback coming out of college. He had everything, and you could just watch him run for his life, throw him to the wolves, and then blame him for it. Yeah. And then it was hard to watch, to be honest with you.
But let's take it one more step further. How come the scrutiny comes? I wouldn't say that. I said the scrutiny came with Trubisky and all them, but they thought he was supposed to win in Pittsburgh. Like he's supposed to be come in and change everything around. And I do believe system is everything. I think Pittsburgh doesn't have that kind of system. They have, we're going to just try to grind it out, which I don't think works in the NFL anymore. They think they can win a game when only scoring 17 points a game. You can't do that no more in the NFL. So with that being said, it's funny how these young quarterbacks coming in, they get so much scrutiny about their game. Again, in that room of development, it's not even there. Like you bring in Russell Wilson to Pittsburgh now. I think he'll have a better year than what's name had, but it's not going to be nothing that's going to make you to the Super Bowl. They just don't have that offensive scheme that they play doesn't induce them to do that. You're not going to beat teams scoring 17 points a game. You just can't. And running Najee Harris to death, that you can't do that. It's even been proven with what's the guy down there in Baltimore? What's the quarterback in Baltimore? Quarterback. MVP.
Joe Flacco.
Forgot his name. Not him.
I think it is actually. No.
The quarterback,
Lamar. You talking about Lamar.
Lamar Jackson.
Lamar Jackson. Yeah. The quarterback in Lamar Jackson is a great player. But every time playoff time comes, guess what? He has to play into the system and he loses. Because he can't improvise, right? Ooh. He's kind of overcame the criticism. I'm saying all these young quarterbacks, though, every last one of them, man, the one you can't even develop, they can't even afford to make a mistake to be successful. Caleb Stroud, the guy in Houston, is the only one that's came in right now and done some amazing things that led him to the playoffs to kind of is going to get a pass. Every last one of them, man, they're under the microscope to get replaced.
Yeah, and again, we'll keep going back to that. I think the thing that changed is, the salary cap, and it's right now. My year it was Troy Aikman was the first pick in the draft. And, man, he got the brakes beat off him. Started him every game that first year. Remember, I don't think they won a game, like 1-15 or something. Yeah, and beat the brakes off. But the difference was they didn't throw him to the wolves, but they stayed behind him. They built around him. They gave him stuff. Now these dudes, they throw them to the wolves, and if they're 0-15, and you got to ship them out of town. They're the worst ever. Get rid of them. It's the player's fault. It's quarterback's fault. You're done. Get out of here. That was the difference. I mean, they could have done that to Troy Aikman, but you show a little loyalty. You build around him. You don't say, "Oh, we're going to build the offense now that Caleb's here," but not for you, Justin. So I mean, if you're going to throw them to the wolves, man, like give them something. Bring in a good offense coordinator. Bring in some weapons. Do that for him, but. Not like kill a young kid and then bring another same young kid in, but give him a lot more. Which I don't even know what they're doing now because it's still the Bears, so it's not going to matter. It's going to be a replay of everything.
I agree.
Goodness. Look, let me interject here because I want to be cognizant of time. And here we go again. It's getting dark. Right?
Yeah.
So Bert got his neighbors coming over. One trying to use his barbecue, and it's getting dark out there. So I want to ask 3 questions, and then I want to, like I said, be cognizant of time. Bring this plane in. One, obviously, are you watching tomorrow? Are you going to watch the draft tomorrow?
No.
Why? Well, you got things to do. That's why you got a whole league and team to run, right? You president. You got.
I think I'm doing that either. No, I'm gonna go out with my wife. It depends. If I'm on somewhere where it's on, I'll watch it. But man, all I got is Netflix and Amazon Prime. I don't know TV. I haven't watched a game, man. I haven't watched a game in 10 years, probably.
You ain't watched the game since you played in the game. Okay. Not
all right, I'll tell you what. Montel knows how lazy I am. I do PPR and I just repeat what he said the day before on Paul Rudy's show. That's all I do. I don't do research.
We need to get Paul because I met him down there at the last game I went to for the Strike Force. So let me ask these 2 questions again. One coming from Mr. Cox. He's saying, do you think that there will be a way for San Diego to get an NFL team back?
Oh.
We bringing it back here. There you go. That's a hard one. So I saved that for last.
I don't know. It's so hard. I mean, California is California. I mean, it's so hard to get anything done here, unless one person puts up all the money. You see like Buffalo, and they'll give like $900 million to the city. Will somehow raise it for a new stadium or even revamp their stadium. I mean, we couldn't even pass anything to get any stadium. And then I think they had maybe if they would have viewed a little bigger and put a big stadium in where Qualcomm was, where Snapdragon is. That's a college stadium. I mean, there's still no stadium. I don't see it. I don't know where they put one now because they took Mission Valley up. I mean, if you went to Oceanside maybe or Chula Vista, but I mean, I would love to see one here. But our best chance maybe is like Jacksonville or someone wants to move, but or a team that's not doing well. But the only team that's not doing well is the Chargers, so they have to come back.
So where they gonna go? They can't go nowhere.
Yeah,
they can't.
So I mean, you see like when the Colts left in the middle of the night, or like when Phoenix went out to Arizona, or in Baltimore, all those things. It's like, oh, we're not doing well here. The only team that's really not doing well here is the Chargers in LA. So, I mean, are they moving back? I don't know, but that's why I think people think they're coming back because it's always like, all right, what team's not doing good? They might want to move, or we're going to go from Houston to Tennessee because we're not doing good in Houston. The only team that's not doing good where they're at is the Chargers. So it would be them if they move back, unless we get an expansion team. But that would be it.
Can you think the market can handle it again now? Now that they left. And now that we moved on in San Diego, you think that we can handle the Chargers coming back now? I don't think the city's going to give the money. We're not. There's no way.
No, they'd have to be sold. I mean, they would not with Spanos, but at some point, now that Jim runs the team, he should have put that in his contract. They still would have given the contract. You got to sell the team within 5 years, and they still would have made sign Jim Harbaugh. I'm gonna get close to Spanos.
Yeah, you go get somebody in trouble. I want to say something though that maybe the young cats probably went over their head. Y'all look at old NFL history. The Indianapolis Colts did move in the middle of the night, in the middle of a snowstorm when they left.
That's how my mom left my dad. God, it was the same way. I was like, this whole team moved like my mom did in the middle of the night. Trucks came up. Dad was at work. Exact same way.
One more, bro, because it's getting late. I got one more question. I think were y'all in San Diego? Were y'all did the SDS? The Aztecs spring game? Did you go out to the spring game?
No, but I love that coach. Man.
Yeah. Oh yeah. How do you? So with them, love Trey. Trey White's gonna be a beast this year. How do you think it's gonna move now? And we talk about a little bit local. And I'm sorry, James, to get off subject.
No
local. Worries. San Diego, how are the Aztecs going to be able to transcend now, especially with Mountain West? I mean, Pac-12 going. They're in the Mountain West. They're probably going to be kings of the Mountain West for now, between them and Boise again. Are they going to be able to attract the athlete, the NFL quality of athlete there in San Diego now that they're pretty much the lone truly West Coast team?
Yeah.
Along with anybody about in the Mountain West.
I think they will. You know what? I think they will. Did you see McMillan put in for the transfer portal today too? Anthony McMillan from Mater Dei.
Yep.
I think they will. Similar to, I mean, you look at SDSU. There's not a lot of NBA type athletes, but Dutcher gets the right thing and does the right thing. I think it's going to be like that, and I think the biggest problem is going to be trying to keep Sean Lewis in 2, 3, 4 years from now on his staff because he's going to be getting offers, and can you match it? And that becomes a problem. It's like you get a new coach every 3 years because you can't match the money. They match it with Dutcher, and rightfully so. They should give him whatever he wants. But, I mean, I think that's the bigger problem. It's like, this guy's going to do really well. I can guarantee you that. And somebody's going to, put the carrot in front of him. Somebody's going to want him. And somebody's going to have alumni and NIL money and everything else. And he's going to leave for the whole staff. You start all over again, then it's 3 years. And that's the hard part. If your coach is really successful and you get it right, you only have him for 3 or 4 years because somebody's going to outbid you and buy him from you. If your coach sucks, you're only going to have him 3 or 4 years because you're going to fire him. So you get stuck in this in between. And they've been fortunate, with Rocky and Brady before that, they've had a lot of stability. But when you get the type of coach that Sean Lewis is, that's what everybody wants. High scoring, young, innovative, exciting. He'll leave. And then they'll hire another guy like that, young, innovative, exciting. He'll leave. So it's almost like you don't have too much success too quick because you'll lose them. And then you can't be replacing them And it's hard to say because it's like, damn, I'm the best guy in the world to hire people. My guys keep getting hired and hired. But the problem is then you have no stability. And if you get it wrong once, then you have no stability. And it's just a cycle that goes on when you don't have that kind of money. I mean, if you have that kind of money, you just, I got the greatest coach in the world, Nick Saban. I got the money to keep him, so I ain't got nothing to worry about. But we don't have that luxury.
Yeah, I feel it's going to be tough. I love Coach Lewis, what he did at Kent State, the way he brought them to light. I think he's going to do the same thing at San Diego. I think he has some key cog pieces that are there that are going to be successful. But as you said, that comes with a price with loyalty with kids, right? The kids that thought they were going to be a part of the system are not because Sean Lewis is bringing something in new. I think they'll have a little bit. I think they'll be one of the few teams in the Mountain West as a conference will be the one conference that will develop players to get ready for the NFL. It doesn't have to be an instant gratification or instant fix right there. I think they'll have the time to develop them. But beyond that, I don't know. I think Sean Lewis is the perfect person for Zach. Like I said, I know Trey White had a very good game. Quarterback looked pretty decent there at San Diego State this year. They got some pretty good quality players, and I think they got some guys who are going to develop to be NFL players. But we got a long way to go now with the change, right? With the power shift of no more Pac-12 to play against, and now it's just Mountain West by itself only on the West Coast to kind of groom our players. So,
you want me to turn the lights on that?
That's it.
Oh, all right. I'm going to turn the lights on. I was like, all right, man, we going my phone.
It's all good, brother. We're going to save it for the next round. We're going to save it for the next round. Bert Grossman in the building, y'all. Oh, my goodness. Come on. This is what we do. Team No Sleep. We appreciate you, man. This has been a great conversation. A lot of folks chiming in, a lot of folks in the comments as well. I think he even got a fan in Mr. Dan Roth there. He says he's going to go out there and check out a game. So he's going to become a paying participant and attendee to the Strike Force.
Are you all going to come out next weekend?
Yeah.
Or this weekend?
Next weekend. You know what? I got to take you on for this probably weekend. I'll probably be there this Sunday. I'll text you, let you know.
All right, let me know. James, whenever you want.
Man, listen, I'll jump on Southwest. They know me. I'm just up north. I'll come down in a minute, man, and we'll do what we need to do. That's all good. That's all. Coach needs to turn on the No, Marvin, this is the whole aesthetic, right? When Bert's here, we keep him until it gets completely dark. Then he goes in, hangs out with family, and goes and talks to his neighbors who keep bothering him while he's trying to do a show. Montel, take us home, brother.
Yeah, absolutely. Everybody out there, please reach out to a loved one, make sure they're okay. And like I always say, be comfortable asking uncomfortable conversations. So be comfortable asking uncomfortable questions to have those uncomfortable conversations so we can always do better.
Get it right. Bert, be good to yourself, man. We out.
All right.
Bringing the heat, team No Sleep with Chevy as me. We're on the mic, taking over the game. No time for rest, cause we're in it for fame. Talking sports, breaking it down from the court to the field. All around town, we stay up all night, grinding on the mic, bringing news, real stories on the fly. Montel's got the stats, James got